Everyone. Testing. If you just came in, I'm asking that everyone choose a color that best represents how you plan to interact with today's session. If you'll just turn that color toward me so that I can see how you would like to interact. This helps to kind of color code the room and give me some expectation based on your choices on how you will interact with me. So let me get inside of the box. I will be staying inside of the lines today because this session is going to be shared with people who are out in the cyber universe. So let's just give them a hello wave. Hello. And thank you all for joining the session. So thank you for choosing this session. This session today is UDL and administrators leading the charge. How many of you are principals? Okay. How many teacher leaders? How many district level administrators, central office? And then who else do we have among us today? County office. How many county office representatives? And is there anyone who has not been named or
There's instructional coaches.
Instructional coaches? Well, thank you all for being here. Today, I'm going to use a few tools to communicate with you, just some things that I've learned and our district has learned throughout this journey. So my name is Andratesha Fritzgerald. I come to you from Cleveland, Ohio. East Cleveland is the district where I work, and we have been implementing Universal Design for Learning district-wide for the past 3 years. We took 1 year just to learn. We'll share more about our journey and our timeline, but I will share with you that we've seen tremendous change in the way that we think about student learning and the way we think about rigorous instruction. And so I'm going to share a few of those tips with you today. Now, as I present, I'm going to turn on closed captions. And I'm also going to utilize a tool to capture the notes and record them and to create a transcript for us. So oftentimes, there are tools available for free, and some people use them strictly with students who have disabilities, but if we make them an option for all students, they can help anyone. So closed captions is available in Google Slides. My tech partner for today is my daughter. Her name is Ilani Fritzgerald. So let's give her a round of applause. She's also going to co-present at some point with me to share with you from a student perspective the difference that UDL makes. So before we get started with that, and closed captions will be coming in a moment, we are going to have a battle. And yes, this battle will be epic. And yes, this battle will have a winner. So look around. If you're competitive, just rub your hands together, say, let's get ready to rumble. But this battle, anyone can win. You all have the skill. And because I am going to make sure that everyone is on a level playing field, we're going to do a little bit of instruction first. Check. So when I say check, that's my informal assessment to make sure that you're with me. And if you understand, you just say check back. Check?
Check.
And so sometimes I can hear just informally if this side of the room is with me or if I need to move a little closer to the back. It gives me just an idea of where people are and what they need auditorily. It's not the only way to check in, but it's a quick one. All right? So the pancake battle requires a battle. What will happen is that we're going to play a game. And in that game, when you win, you go to the next level. Everyone starts on level 1, and level 1 is stirrers. We stir. So I'm going to show you quickly what stirring is like, and I'm going to ask you to model the movement at your seat. Check?
Check.
Pretend you have a bowl. Let's see your bowls, and I want you to stir. Now, some people stir with a little more flair. It's up to you how you stir. But this is a level 1 motion. So everyone starts as stirrer. Check?
Check.
When you win the game, you move up to level 2, and that is pour. So you dig in that bowl with a ladle, and then you pour it out. So scoop it up, pour it out. Let me see you pour. Look around the room. Check out the pouring style. Yes? Okay, that's level 2. Now, when you beat a pourer, you go up to level 3, which is flip. So I want you to get your spatula, get your good stance in front of that stove, get under that pancake and flip it over. Let's see you. Okay, oh my goodness, you guys are flipping experts. Yes, you are. And then the next level, I think we all can do this, is eat. So you just eat those pancakes up, eat them up. Now the winner, the person who achieves the status beyond eat first is yum, and it is a very zen state, so you just yum. So go ahead and practice. Yes, you felt that, I know. The game that we will play to determine our levels is rock, paper, scissors. So let us go over some ground rules because as we know in our household, some people cheat. I'm not pointing any elbows. Okay, so the way that we play the game is rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You have to shoot on the shoot, okay? So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And there's paper, which beats rock. Rock beats scissors, and scissors beat paper. Check.
Check.
Let's do a practice round. Find a person, just look them in the eye. Introduce yourself. And have a battle. Go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay? Not yet. After we finish with that. Okay, may I have your attention? I'm going to count down from 5. Count with me. 4, 3, 2, 1. What we are going to do is have an epic pancake battle. You will battle for the throne of yumness. Everyone will stand. You will find a partner. Here's what you must do. Look them in the eye, and you must say to them, I, and state your name, am a better stirrer than you. And then they will say, no, 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 I, state their name, am a better stirrer than you. I want you to give them eye contact. Make sure you find 3 ways to use their name while you're battling, and whoever wins moves to the next level up. And if you lose from any level, you go back down to stirring. How will people know what level you're on? You show them with what you're doing. Everyone, please rise for the pancake battle. Find a competitor, look them in the eye, and set the challenge.
I am a better stroller than you.
You can only, I just want to check in really quickly. Do we have any stirrers in the room? Do we have any pourers in the room? Do we have any flippers in the room? Okay, flippers have to play each other. There's some hands up for flipping. And do we have any eaters yet? Keep going. Flipper, raise your hand. Flippers? Freeze, everyone. Freeze. We have someone who has entered into the levels of pancake battle that have not been reached before? If you will raise your hands high. Are there more eaters? I want you to call your attention to the middle of the room as the eaters come together. It's time for a pancake face-off. And let's watch them as they battle. It's only 4 eaters. 2 of you against 2. 2 against 2. And go. Who won? Okay, you're going to play the winner of this battle. All right, these 2 will battle. Let's cheer them on as they go. Don't move, stay right there. The game is not over, but we must crown. Give it up for the queen of pancakes. Yes. You can flip it the other way if you want. Okay, now let me ask you just a couple of questions about this game. How many winners do we have? We have one that is the queen that's wearing the crown of pancakes. What did you notice about the rules of the game? Let me come back to my square. What did you notice about the rules of the game?
They were clear.
They were clear, so you knew what to expect. What else? Very simple. The game was already established, right? How many of you got to the flipping level? And what happened? Did you stay there?
Yes.
When you lost, what were you supposed to do? Go back down to stir. How many people had that experience that you moved up and then you moved back down? Okay? The rules of the game were established, and it made it very, very difficult to have multiple winners. Multiple winners, right? What if we change the rules of the game? Do you think we could get more champions? I want you to think about this. So here's the next rule. If you are the queen, or you are whatever status you are, you can play anyone at any level. You can battle them, you can give them help, you can work with anyone at any level, and if you lose, it's okay, you just keep playing. Those are our rules. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to see how many more yummers we can get. On your mark, get set, go. So I need that out of the other one that was open. I need you to start recording. Start recording. It's recording, and it will. I don't see any words coming up. Hello? Check, check. Okay, there it is. You got a crown? One more minute. And did you turn closed caption on this? Just hit escape. And then turn it when you hit present. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just the wrong presentation. I can't. Count down with me from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. How many stirs do we still have? Just a few. How many pourers do we have? Okay. How many flippers? And how many eaters at this time? Okay. So what I want you to think about is what happens when we change the rules to the game. What happened for us? More winners, higher levels. And we didn't just celebrate first, who won first, but we enjoyed the journey together, right? We kept going. It was a hand in the back?
More opportunities to play, because I could play anyone.
More opportunities to play because it wasn't just level exclusive.
Also, the feeling of frustration left because it was like, oh, kind of just doesn't matter where you are. So I think having that confidence in it, like, makes you just like move through the space better.
The feeling of frustration. Let's say that last part one more time for me.
Well, that's when learning happens, when you feel like I am at this table, I am here to learn too.
Learning happens when the threats diminish and the confidence builds. Thank you. Yes.
The queen decided to boost my confidence by passing along her crown, and I completely forgot that I was supposed to be paying attention to the levels at all. I was just like, hey, it's nice to meet you. How's it going? It's nice to meet you. So I completely forgot.
Just because a member of our learning community has arrived at the standard does not mean that they can't contribute to other people's learning. And just because I have not arrived at the standard does not mean that I don't bring something to the table to give to you. Check. Universal design for learning changes the rules for the game. Go ahead and have a seat. I have more crowns here if anybody's feeling royal. Okay, well, I would like to. I'm having some technical difficulties here with my slides, but we're going to be flexible and make it work. Check. So turn and talk at your table just about what learning you took away from just the pancake battle. Take about 2 minutes to talk, hear each other's voice.
If you need anything else, just cue it. And then I'm ready.
About 30 seconds. Count down with me from 5, 4, let me hear you, 3, 2, 1. So I want to just share with you because I want to model my thinking out loud for you. So embedded into this game, this activity, I want you to think about students who struggle socially Instead of telling them you have to work harder, you make it a part of the activity, universally designing how to start a conversation. I, state your name, am I'm a better stirrer than you. It seems silly, it seems trivial. But you think about students who may be on the spectrum, who have a hard time beginning or initializing an interaction. And seriously, neurotypical students as well have, students who are, whatever that means, neurotypical, also have a difficult time starting conversations. I mean, you think about it, if you work in a middle school, sometimes you can alleviate probably half of the disciplinary infractions if students knew how to begin a conversation. Check. So we embed the skills that we expect, not just for a certain subset, but we universally design it so students have a way to enter into the activity. And not just this activity, but every activity. So when you expect group work, oftentimes we put students in groups of 3 or 4 and expect the magic to happen. But we don't give them a way to talk to each other. Even at your table, you have your color preference for how you prefer to interact. It does not mean that that's the only way you can interact, but it's a universally designed framework for everyone else to know that you can go with the flow. You don't mind anyway, or you prefer to correspond electronically, or you enjoy drawing, or you don't mind talking out loud. We can just look at each other's placards and see, hey, there's diversity in how we like to communicate, so let's come up with some ways that everyone is safe. Check. So just wanted to kind of model that thinking out loud for you. So, normally at the beginning of a session, people share with you the learning goals. I can only share with you my why. We'll add that to your why, and there's going to be a way for you to share your why with me. And then we can come together on I have some building block goals that are there, but we'll build them together as a learning community for today. Check? Check. So I'm going to turn it over to my daughter, Ailani, who is going to share with you an experience in her class, and then I'll talk to you more about my why in just a second. Ailani is here.
Hi.
Is your mic on?
Hello?
Hello? There you go.
Okay. Hello. When I was in the fifth grade, can you hear me?
Yes.
When I was in the 5th grade, we were learning about the age of exploration, and our teacher told us that Columbus was the first man to be in America, after she had just said that Leif Erikson was first in Scandinavia. And I raised my hand and said, well, the indigenous people were first in that place. Why does Columbus get the credit? Instead of considering my statement, she punished me. I felt like I wasn't being heard, and it really it really brought my confidence down. And I wish that school leaders knew that universal design for learning makes a really big difference in boosting the confidence of students and creating an open learning environment for everyone. Thank you.
So when I think about my why universal design for learning, why learning first that welcomes the student before the content, I think about my baby. I think about how her mind works differently, how sometimes she would like to learn in a different manner, that she thinks about things beyond the content that's on the paper. And I wonder many days, is 100% of who she is welcome in the classroom? Or does she have to shut down a part of who she is in order not to be punished? Check. So in her situation, that was one microcosm of what she experiences on a daily basis. I have a son who also at times feels like he can't bring 100% of who he is to the classroom. In fact, he came to me and he said, "Mom, how would you like to do what you love for only 30 minutes a week? So I'm figuring that he was going somewhere with this. He said, I love singing, I love dancing, I love drama, but in school, I have music class 30 minutes a week. What if we invited passions of students into the learning environment? What if we let them choose how they show the world what they know? What if we universally designed every learning environment to make sure that students could be themselves, that they could be heard, that there would be confidence boosted, and that fear and threat was minimized? As a school leader, you heard my daughter. What she wants you to know is that you can change the rules of the game. Check? Just like we did for the pancake battle, you get to change the rules of the game in the classroom. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So my why are my children, and children who remind me of them, that I fight for every single day in my role in East Cleveland, to make sure that inclusiveness is not just, let's throw a couple of dots in that look different. Anybody seen some Shelley Moore? But making sure that 100% of who you are is welcome in the learning environment every single day. So we have some learning goals that are building blocks, but in just a second, you're going to be able to share with me your why, and we'll all be able to see it as a collective. So we'll identify some obstacles, because when structuring a universally designed learning environment, or the expectation for one, there are always some obstacles. We'll do that. We'll also identify dreams. So what would be a dream environment for learning? What would be the dream for UDL in your district? And then how do we build a bridge between the obstacles to the dreams? We create opportunity. So think about that visual metaphor. There's the obstacle, the huge mountains that he's at the bottom of. There's the dream, and if the beach is not your dream, see, I'm from Cleveland, so the beach makes me happy. We don't get a lot of beach time in Cleveland. But whatever your dream is, maybe for you it's skiing in the mountains, you insert that picture there. And then we're just gonna build a bridge from your obstacles to the dream by creating opportunity. Check? Okay, so now it's my time to hear from you. So if you you can choose how you'll engage with this conversation. You can go to menti.com and enter the event code. You can answer on a sticky note with words or pictures that you draw or write. You can tweet at Fritzgerald and with a GIF or a meme that describes your why, but I want to hear your why. I'm going to pull up the Menti screen, or my assistant will, and I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to just think and answer, what is your why for this work? It can be a name, it can be a person, it can be a phrase, but what is your why for this work? Take about a minute and a half to think. Our group has some things in common. What themes do you see here? Pink paper people, you can just yell it out.
I matter.
Yes.
Can we do that one more time? Who was that?
Oh,
Can I have your microphone?
I matter.
Thank you. Anyone else want to just share a couple of things that you see? Equity.
Equity.
Thank you. I'm just going to sit this microphone here so we can have a couple of them roaming around. So I'll just read a few. Persistence, equity, students, provide access to students with in special education, ensure that all feel welcome, support, family. For someone, it's personal. It's their brother, it's their children, creativity, it's justice. Check. So when we think about what the obstacles are, we'll think about our dreams for this right here. And then we'll build a bridge in between. Go back to the slides. It's the one at that one. We're going to pause for this commercial break. If there's anyone who's tech, if you could help, I would appreciate it. Yes. So when we think about universally designed learning environments, it's just the slideshow is off the screen or something.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. So we want to think about how we can structure each of our learning environments to meet the objectives of the framework. So with multiple means of engagement, we want to spark excitement and curiosity for learning. So optimize individual choice, autonomy, relevance, value, authenticity. Tackle challenges for focus and determination by customizing the goal or the outcome in various methods. Harness the power of emotions and motivation in learning. So it doesn't just have to be the standard, but how can we make the standard personal to the student? How does it connect with their why, what they want to do? For this session today, it doesn't matter what my why is, it matters more what your why is. It matters that you have context for what it is that you're trying to pursue in your professional work. Check? So sometimes we add the coping skill in. Sometimes we model the behavior that we want them to see, because behavior can be a barrier for some students, right? So instead of waiting until they fail, we protect them from the adverse consequences of initial failure by structuring the class in a way that gives them access to the curriculum. If behavior is the barrier, we think ahead to make sure that the things are set up for them. If attention is a barrier, we change the activity every 5 minutes to make sure that they have the optimal environment they need to make choices for themselves. We teach them how to advocate with the way we structure our classroom. Check. Each of you, when you came in, had to make a choice. You had to make a choice to say, I prefer to communicate this way. Now, it does not mean that that's an exclusive method that I will only speak with you verbally because you have pink, or I'll make you do everything because you have purple, or I'll only hear from you on social media, but that gives me a context for your preference first. And then I can structure the learning. If this was our first day, you've given me information to structure the learning for you. May I say to you, as leaders in your school district, that adults need this flexibility as well? We cannot expect them to create these learning experiences for students unless we create them for adults. Check. Turn and talk at your table, or you can tweet out, you can draw a picture. Just what do multiple means of engagement, what difference does it make for adults in your building? Go ahead, you can turn and talk, you can tweet. What difference does multiple means of engagement make? Are there any interactions on Twitter? Okay, no, I mean, like, if you're on there, just let me know if, like, there's something that needs to be read out, because I want to honor their voices as well. So I say you're a Twitter person. How are you guys coming along?
Great stuff. Do you work in Cleveland?
East Cleveland Schools, yes.
So that's not the same as Cleveland.
No, it's a smaller suburb right outside of Cleveland. We collaborate with them. There's like 14 districts that come together that kind of regionalize a bit, and then we work together in that way.
So I used to work with this guy named Matt Linick, great big huge guy.
Okay.
Statistical analysis, assessment. He worked for the Cleveland schools.
Okay, no, I'm not familiar with them. Cleveland is humongous. It's their district is about probably 10 times our size. So we're a small district. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I was there in the airport.
Oh, really? We have to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, he loved it.
Yes.
And that's in a way we engage in class.
I'm hot. So when you think about engagement, I want you to think about how to educate your stakeholders thinking about engagement. Some of the things that we did in our district is we developed a review committee to look at what engaging instruction looked like. We considered the history of the district because many of the things that we were doing, yes?
Can you tell a little bit about your background?
Sure. Oh, here comes the microphone. And I'm going to share with you a little bit later in the presentation, just a little bit about my background and our district. So I will definitely fill you in on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we considered the history of our district because many of the things that were in place were simply because we've always done it. We had a wax museum that was a really cool wax museum activity, but when we looked at it, we said, is this engaging for all students? And there were some students who were up there and it looked like torture. Give them options. How do we make sure that it's rigorous for all students and not torture for some? And then by the same token, just because it's uncomfortable for a student doesn't mean that we don't push them in that direction a little bit, but give them safe places to do it. Maybe in front of their parents. Maybe we change the audience a little bit, but we have to look at that. So we asked for feedback. So we went on walkthroughs in different buildings. We took the building leadership teams on walkthroughs, which was a combination of teachers and administrators. And then we asked them, what did you see? What do you hope for? What are your dreams? What are the obstacles? What can we change? And then we do have a plan for ongoing communication around engagement. I'll share with you when we talk about our journey, just some of the things that we're doing now in that area. But think about engagement for the adults in your building. If engagement means inviting the voice of students to the table, Kind of like what the keynote presenter said this morning. If that is not in place for adults, then it's probably not happening for kids either. Check? Multiple means of representation. So think about perception, think about language and symbols, think about comprehension. The way that people take in information, they have to have choices. So engagement allows people to show what they know, to navigate through the information. Representation is how it's coming at them. So perception, how do they take it in? Is it in print? Is it spoken? Is it video? Is it music? For my son, he loves to learn by music. When he was 2 years old, we were in JCPenney. A song came on the overhead. I wasn't even listening to it. We got in the car. He sang every word, the verses, the chorus. One time, never heard the song, and then he started making up moves to it, and he's like in the back doing, and I'm turning around and I'm thinking, what a skill. Wow, that's amazing. But if it's not taught by music, he misses the opportunity to engage because his perception that way, he picks up really quickly. So think about the perception. The display of information, is it flexible? Does the learner get a chance to choose the font size, the color? Can they make it larger or smaller for them? Can they personalize it? And then language and symbols. Is there a shared understanding created by pictures, multiple media, symbols, and various support structures? What does that mean? In the pancake battle, we talked, you heard me share, but then if you needed support, the levels were up in pictures so that you could see. There were pictures there were words as well. So the level of support you needed, because some people could hear me and say, okay, I know first it's stir, then it's pour, then it's flip, then it's eat. I don't need any other support. But some people had to refer back to the pictures. Some people just needed a community member to say, hey, what's next? And they had those things. They were there to support. I didn't tell you, you must look at the pictures. You must carry the pictures around with you everywhere you go, but simply gave you the options. So whatever support you needed, it was already there for you. Check? This is universal design for learning. It's small changes that the learner gets to make for themselves to make the environment conducive to their learning. You don't decide for them. They simply have a buffet, if you know Katie, a buffet to choose from. Check. Comprehension talks about the background knowledge being activated. So my daughter, her background knowledge was shut down in her example. So the context for the classroom was Christopher Columbus. They're talking about discovery, and she had another opinion that, if leveraged appropriately, could have added value to the conversation. How many times do students come in with experiences or background knowledge that is never invited to the table? Universal design for learning helps us to structure our class in a way that invites that learning, that pulls it out, that makes those connections, that clarifies misconceptions. Check. So some things that we had to do in our district, we had to educate leaders on universal design for learning. We could not assume that people would know what to do or what to inspect or what to expect, but do explicit learning. And I want to share this. We did it by volunteer. We did not mandate that every principal had to take the UDL course. We simply offered it, and we said whoever takes it, takes it. We're going to be happy with whatever we get. We explained a simple definition of what it was. We had 60 people sign up the first time, and teachers and leaders learned right alongside each other. We did it in a self-paced online format so that people could take whatever time. We offered it in the summer, so we thought we're really not going to get any takers. But because of the format, because it was electronic, people could go on and read at 3 in the morning if they want. They could take the videos in. They made choices about how they wanted to learn. And we had 50 people from the beginning. Now, our district is really small, but we had teachers and leaders, like I said, learning alongside each other. We had a huge audacious goal in mind because we knew that our learners needed something different. Our results and our scores were showing us that what we were doing or what we had always done was not yielding the outcomes that were advantageous to learners. So we knew we had to do something big, and we had a big picture goal, but we could not create the goal by ourselves. We had to come together as a district and see, what do we need to do? What can we do? What will take the least time, the least effort, and then move up that chart. Check? So we used a survey just to ask people, what do you want to learn about? What intrigues you about UDL? Where should we start? What should we do? And they informed us in our practice. Our UDL task force was we repurposed our district leadership team to look at the data, to think about how can we reach all students? What does all mean? And who does all mean to you? We had to look at our practices and see that we could say all means all, but are we acting as if all means all? What we have now in our district are classrooms where the gifted intervention specialist is in the general education classroom along with the reading specialist and sometimes along with the intervention specialist, working together, co-planning, co-serving, co-assessing, and co-teaching. We had it separate before, so we had to take a long look at ourselves and say, what are we doing? And do we really mean universal when we say universal? Check. So instead of bombarding people who could care less about UDL, we thought that we would do small tidbits and from practitioners, people who had tried something and wanted to just share an activity. We allowed them to share, gave them the platform via our YouTube channel or on Twitter, and just got those informations out. Little tidbits, they went a lot farther than big, huge deep dives. And we started modeling UDL every chance we got. So sometimes it's the little placards when they came into PD. Sometimes it was just an activity that got them up and moving, or they had some choices. It just depended. We just did little things to model and said, this is UDL. Check. Multiple means of expression. Basically, this is where students get to just show what they know. They get to mix it up. Sometimes it's a blog, sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's a song. And like I said, for my children, having choices, having options, being able to choose what works best for them opened up a whole world of opportunities. So in your professional learning, try to mix up how people are accountable. What is the product focus? How do you know that learning has taken place? Is it a survey? Is it an invitation to come to their class to see it? How do you mix up the way that they show what they know? Multiple means of expression. So one of the things that we asked for and we needed to model was transparency. So on our central office staff, we would say, hey, we're at different levels of UDL implementation, but how awesome is it to see the human resource director, when he's doing a presentation on ethics, utilize universally designed learning strategies? We're all in different places, but we mix it up and just are transparent. Like, I'm going to try this. If it fails, it's okay. I'm going to learn from it and move forward. We respect all levels of UDL implementation, and most importantly, if you hear nothing else, we invite your individual passion to the table. For some teachers, it's photography. For some people, it's drama, singing, and dancing and theater. We don't want you to shut out that part. Bring it into the classroom in a way that allows other passions to be heard. We communicate where we are, and we celebrate progress. So the next part is our journey, and I'll share with you a little bit about my background with UDL. So in my teaching, I teach in East Cleveland. I taught in East Cleveland. I'm an administrator there now, but I taught for 10 years English language arts, 9 through 12. East Cleveland is an urban school district, and our demographic is pretty much 99% African American, though we do have English language learners. We have about 25% at this point students with disabilities. So it is one of the highest incidences of lead poisoning in the state of Ohio. We have the highest numbers in our district for students in foster care or with referrals to the county system for children and family services. And all of those things we take into account. So we have a very intentional push to be trauma informed, as well as we use mindfulness because we want students to be calm their brains down before expecting them to take information in. I worked in East Cleveland for the past 18 years. Like I said, I taught ELA for 10 years and then transitioned into curriculum and instruction. And also now I do federal programs and then teaching, learning, and innovation. So my role is to make sure that the students who are in front of us have access to the very best. So we can try many different ways. I support teachers, I support administrators just to help them to gauge the learning that they need to do individually to then push out to what happens closest to the child. So in the last 3 years or so, it's been a 5-year journey with Universal Design for Learning, but it's something that has always been naturally embedded in me. Like I would agonize over the child I couldn't reach. I would think about them. I would design my lessons to see if I could just get a spark any kind of way. So these are things, what I'm sharing with you are the tools that I use. And when I taught in East Cleveland, I was able to accomplish very high passage rates on the standardized test, and not because I used packets and not because I stuck with the program that was given to me, but it was because I challenged the status quo and I made sure that these students had access. I'll never forget a student raised his hand. We were going through a passage. It was a mandatory packet, so we had everyone who taught 9th grade had to do this packet. And anytime I say mandatory and packet, my stomach hurts, okay? So we're going through this packet, and there was a passage about Yellowstone Park. And so we're reading through, and at the end I said, okay, there's some questions that we're gonna go over, and a student raised his hand and he said, you mean to tell me that there is a park with just yellow stones? And I said, come on now, you know what this is talking about. He's like, I have no idea what this is about. And when I looked at the passage, it never mentioned forest. It never mentioned national park. It just said Yellowstone. So in his mind, he was using the context clues. He was using the close reading strategies, and he's like, all I see is Yellowstones. And that's when I realized that equity was more about an opportunity gap that exists, and then how can we bridge that gap. So my role became to introduce our students to as much about the world as I possibly could. So in our district, we use virtual reality. We have Z-Space so that they can do dissections and surgeries and build roller coasters. And these things are exactly what our speaker said this morning, that budgets reveal priorities. And the students who need the most, we should see it reflected in what is spent. So let me come off the soapbox because I'll stay there for a while. But here's what happened. We, 2 central office administrators went to an introduction workshop for Universal Design for Learning. Katie Novak presented. When I heard what she was saying, I said, this is what I believe. This is what should happen for our students. So when we're talking about multiple means of action and expression, I'm like, this is what we do. This is what we're trying to do in our district. So we attended, we came back, we talked with our superintendent, we offered the voluntary online course. 60 teachers and leaders took the course. That was in summer 2016. In fall of 2017, we literally created UDL playgrounds, discovery times, UDL activities. We did feedback and research from course participants to say, how do you think we can scale this, okay? In 2017-18, we did protected partial implementation. And what does that mean? When principals walked into their classroom and there was a UDL activity going on, they were not penalized if it was loud and crazy or if it was failing miserably. It was simply a learning activity. Now, there was follow-up conversation about how they can do it differently, how they can do it better, but it was protected, so they were safe. And when we minimize threats for adults, do you know where I'm going? We can minimize threats for students. A second course was taught, and we had an additional 50 teachers and leaders. And then we did a summer institute in 2017 that was all UDL. And then we taught an advanced course for teachers who had taken the first one. We incorporated, in school year 18-19, we incorporated UDL into the district continuous improvement plan, into the walkthroughs. Every professional development session, no matter if we contracted or outside or had someone from the district do it, it had to have elements of UDL, and it had to be in the context of multi-tiered systems of support. Check. So I want to share with you a video, because everybody has a UDL quick start, somewhere that they need to start. We wanted parents to understand what we were doing different. Parents told us, listen, we want to help our students, we want to support them, and we thought what better way to introduce UDL than to use a video. So we're going to try to show you this video. Do full screen.
More specifically, instead of trees, tell me if it's coke or if it's silverbird. About jobs, mention what it is. Don't just say you work. Rewrite first. Organize your lines, details at the start. Make sure there's no tended sentences that so then break apart. You can use a graphic organizer that might do the trick. Fill in circles with some details for the topic that you pick. Don't be slick, trying to write it short so you can done quick. Run with it. Keep the ready, happy with the title you're running with. Now that you're on the spinning, then your paragraph is lit. Capitalize the first letter, make sure you're using you with it. Check me out, write a paragraph if I wanted to. I am smart, I'm intelligent, I'm successful too. When I write a paragraph, I ain't there before I move. I'm a boss when I pre-write, organize, and bust a move. Hey, topic sentence now, this content is new. Details, follow up, just to make it plain for you. If I end it, I don't close, I know that will never do. My conclusion ties it all up, now you can do it too. Hey. Now you can do it too. Hey.
Can you imagine being a kid who loves to dance?
Now you can do it too.
And they chose to participate, and the parents, I want you to know who was in this video. The principals, board members, students, teachers. They came together, you can pause it and put it back on the presentation. They came together to figure out how to support parents who want to help their kids with writing at home, but don't know where to start. So, the funny thing is that during the state assessment, I saw a kid doing dance moves in his seat, singing these lyrics before he wrote his paragraph. Multiple means of representation. We don't care how you get it, as long as you get it. And if a little dip down to the ground and come back up help you to get it, then that helps you. The parents all got DVDs or a download that they could use at home for them to remember what's expected with the writing, and the tips that are in here go right along with the state rubric for the test. So they're looking for those details. They're looking for a topic. They're looking for how it's written. And we just wanted them to be able to identify every single time the Cardi B song came on. Of course, they knew the lyrics to her version of it, but they also had this sticky part here where they were thinking content from school to the beat of the music. So that's what UDL does. It meets kids where they are. Cardi's not my favorite, okay? Okay. However, if that's what it takes, it's not about my preferences. It's about their choices. It's about what helps parents where they are, what helps children where they are. It's universally designed for them. Check. Let's pause for questions, and then we're going to retool because we have an activity to do for multiple means of expression. So, questions. And here comes the microphone. Don't you say a word without it.
I just loved that song, and I'm wondering who wrote it, and because, we could take that into our classrooms and use it tomorrow, and it was just really brilliant. So who did the teachers write it? Did the kids write it? Where did it come from?
It was a collaboration between, if you saw at the beginning where they were all at the tables, they took time in that session. It was a parent program. You know how you have parent programs and they come and listen to a speaker, they eat the muffins, they go home? Well, in the parent program, we put it out, make a music video. The people who showed up wanted to be in a music video. They sat down together with the content and said, how can we make this into a song? So it was students, parents, board members, principals, teachers, and they made it up, and then they recorded. So it took them about 2 hours. So some parents were a part of creating lyrics, but then they had to go. Some people came just for the video. So it was also flexible. So depending on the time that you had or what you were most interested in, or if you wanted to do it gave them a chance to work together on content in a way that was meaningful for them. Great question. Any other questions? Yes, it's actually, I had to put it in Sketch as a PDF. One more time with the question.
Can we have the link?
The link will be available to you. I'll upload it into Sketch so you'll be able to use it. And we have 2 other ones as well. We have one that takes God's Plan by Drake and remix it into exam plans, and it literally goes through strategies on what to do to prepare for taking a state assessment to reduce that anxiety. And the third one is to a song called Rolly about a Rolex, but we changed it to Solve It, Solve It, Solve It. So it's about how to solve math problems, and it gives a mnemonic device. Yes. Oh, wait, there's a microphone coming to you.
I apologize for the very technical question, but do you have to worry about copyright infringement or anything when we're taking these songs and then publishing them and sharing them with outside?
The only time you have to worry about copyright infringement is if you're selling them. We assure you that we are not selling. We're just jacking for beats. Ice Cube and a lynch mob. Just 90s reference right there. All right. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, for this next activity, we are going to play a game. I'm going to ask if you are willing to fill up these seats in this area, and if you could put all of your materials away because we'll be moving. Yeah. And put it on the third slow. Put on present. Okay, that board right there. This is going to be an activity that is a multiple means of expression, and it is an assessment for me to see if we have taken these things into action. It's hard after lunch, but I was thinking about you when I prepared this activity, because sometimes, I don't know about you, but after lunch I get the slump. So fill up the tables as much as possible. If you guys can, or if you're willing, it's your choice. If you could move to this table, you guys are fine. You have what you need there. Just trying to make the teams even. If you are not participating this way, that's fine. I do need a scorekeeper, so if there's one person who is willing to participate or interact with us via keeping score on the board, I would appreciate that. Is there one among us? Oh, no. You stay right there. If you want to play, I don't want you to. If you're at home and you're playing via the video, just make sure that you ring in. I'll try to be my best Alex Trebek. So, yes, the person who, so let's see how we'll do this. So let's practice one round. So here's what will happen. Someone will choose a dollar amount and a question. The clue will come up. There will be an opportunity to answer. We have some buzzers for you. Yep, put them in the front of each table. So you will have an opportunity to buzz in. The person who is sitting in the seat on the right here, so raise your hand. You raise your hand, and for you, it's going to be you. Are they on? Turn them on the bottom, and go ahead and test out your buzzer. Okay, so those are the three noises that we have. You will be able to ring in, and after you ring in, you will respond. You know, whoever rings in first will respond, and then you will simply pass the buzzer to the next person on your team. And your team goes all the way around if you guys are playing back there, so that you don't have to move. In a classroom setting or with students, if you know attention is a barrier, we would get up and move to a new seat each time just by getting up, moving one seat up, and everybody else goes around. So that's the way to think about it, just to help students before they fail. So we have a few minutes. We're going to play Jeopardy. So those who have the buzzer, I have a number. It's the number that I always have, so she'll know. In my mind, between 1 and 10. What is that number?
3. 7.
Okay. You have to pick a different number. 6. Okay. The number is?
3. Oh, okay.
So you choose.
Okay.
And use the microphone.
Okay. Who am I for 100?
Who am I for 100? Okay, and all of you have the opportunity to ring in. You ready? Name one of the keynote speakers today. All right, we heard this one first.
I give the answer?
Yes.
It was Glenn
Glenn.
Singleton.
There you go. All right, let's give it up for this team, 100 points. So this is team 1, team 2, team 3. So, thank you. Okay, pass the buzzer to the next person. And your team gets to choose. Just hit the back button. Click. You can click to see the answer. Hold on just a second. We're navigating here. Okay, now click to return. There you go. But I don't know because I can't see on here.
Who am I for 100?
Okay. We just had that one.
Okay.
Normally I would just black it out, but because I
Okay.
can't see, so we're
Got
flexible.
UDL.
What would you like?
Got UDL.
Got UDL for 100. Everybody has the opportunity to ring in. Here, why don't you turn your chair this way so you can see? The ones with the buzzer, I'm sorry. The goal of the UDL guidelines is to create blank, blank. All right.
Wait. Give me 1 second to think about it. Blank. The first thing that came to my mind was a menu of activities or.
Okay. That's okay. We did not go over this in my session. Go for it. Oh, with the microphone.
Where is it?
Universal access.
That's a good one. I think we'll take it. So the answer, let's give it up for team 2. The answer is expert learners. And so I wanted to make sure that we talked about expert learners. So the goal is not to be just an expert. The goal is not just to learn, but it's to know how you learn. And so universally designed learning environments teach students and teachers and administrators how they learn. And once you know how you learn, then you can succeed at anything where learning is required. Thank you. Back to the board. Okay, so your team gets to choose. What would you like?
Get up and for $100.
Nice. Anyone can ring in on this with the buzzer. So are you ready? Get up and floss. You got to ring in. Ring in. All right. And just in case someone needed support, we did have a video ready for you of some flossing. So always, no matter what the task or the skill, make sure you have something there for support. So not quite sure if the internet is ready for this level of flossing, but you can just exit out. Hey. No. Okay, so your team gets to choose.
Team, what do you want to do? Represent for 100.
500?
I didn't say 500. Okay, sure, 500.
Okay. Represent for 500. What is one change that you will make in giving options for multiple means of representation? Anyone can ring in with the buzzer. One change.
What is one change that you will make in giving, having kind of like the activity we did this morning, so that students can choose, do they want to do a tweet, do they want to get up and display, do they want to write it out, do they want, so different ways that they can communicate and represent themselves.
Okay.
Is that too long?
No, that's fine. So different ways for them to represent themselves or navigate through. Representation also is about making sure that we're giving them options on how they take it in, okay? Thank you for that answer. Oh, just buzzing in.
Ready to go, sorry.
All right, what would you like?
I would like to have, let's do Dream Team 500.
Dream Team for 500. Sing the chorus from a song with the word dream in it, okay?
I dreamed a dream of love gone by.
Well then.
Love it. Killing it.
Now there are 50 extra credit points on the table if you can get your team to join in with you.
Oh, wait.
Are y'all down for it?
Wait, you gotta.
Wait a minute, this is real? Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you guys all know the Les Mis?
We're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
Just la da 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 la da 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 da.
It didn't say it had to sound great, but they did it. Let's give it up for the team. And so you see that there's high risk, there's low risk, but you structure it in a way for people to be successful. And you set up the rules of the game so that more people can walk away with the information. It's more about the information than the right answer. Check? Okay. And what would you like to select, sir?
Where's the low risk one?
That's the
Who am
beauty
I
of
for
choosing.
200? Who am I for
Who am I for 200? For 200. Okay, so name the inclusionary UDL guru and conference organizer. Name her.
Oh, Kathy Wall.
Kathy Wall, are you in the hall? We're talking about you. So, and Myra, I'm not sure, you are the answer to the clue that we just gave. Let's give it up for Kathy. All right, so we will pause here, and I do want to leave time for questions. This is just a way to break up the monotony, make sure that what it is that you want people to walk away with, that they have. It gives people a chance to answer some questions, to think through some things, and even if they get the answers wrong, you can work with them and teach through it. The whole idea of universal design for learning is safety in learning environments. That means safety because of who you are, what you bring to the table, what you're going through, what you know, what you don't know. You are safe here. Check? Okay, questions?
I think before we leave, everyone.
Can you go?
Before we leave, I think we should have a song and a floss together.
At this time, if flossing is your choice, please stand. I will join you. Okay, we're gonna floss at the end. You're down for it? Okay. Questions? Mhm. All of them are real.
No,
You're safe here.
Okay, so I'm really struck by, is 100% of the student allowed to be in the classroom? And for that comment to me has just really struck a chord, because to unpack that is a great quest, and I wondered if you had some advice on how to get there, living in a white framework, living with implicit bias, living in an institutionalized racist system. How do we get there where 100% of that child is valued and seen in that classroom? Because it's big.
Thank you for that question. I would say first and foremost, the way that you build a system where 100% of people are welcome, no matter what they are, no matter what they bring to the table, is to be so intentionally self-aware that you allow the student outcomes to give you feedback about you. You allow the relationships you have or don't have to give you feedback about you. And no, we cannot change entire systems with random acts of equity, but we sure can get better about what needs to change when we're gut level honest with ourselves. So right now I'm teaching a course through Novak Education. It's called Universal Design for Learning and Culturally Relevant Teaching. There are two frameworks that fit together hand and glove. I would say that in your districts, begin the conversation, but conversation is not enough. Every conversation needs to be framed with an action, an expectation. So in our district, when we talk about equity, when we talk about race, there's always a product focus. So what are you going to do about it? So here's some things that I'm learning about myself. What can I do about it, or what's expected for me to do? And that corresponds to action or some framework in the district that we're asking to be adopted or to look at. What small changes can you make? Also, ask students. Ask students for their experience. I don't know how many of you do surveys or send them out, even just a focus group where you have students say, if you would like to share with us your experience here, even if it's more low risk, and have students who have graduated, what do you wish we would have provided for you? When did you feel safest? Who did you learn the most from? What did they do that was different? Ask the questions. If we do not ask, that simply means that we're satisfied with our results. We don't need to change. We don't want to. You be quiet. You give what I get. You get what I give to you, and that's it. When we are self-reflective, when we are asking questions and we're allowing the data to tell us a little bit about who we are and actually believe it, then we can make a change. Great question. Other questions?
Do you have a survey like that exists already? Because the questions you listed off already were very deep and meaningful, and we would get a lot of really good information from our students. And I just wanted to thank you for bringing your daughter up, because I'm a school climate and culture TSA in our district, and I've been starting with the family engagement specialists. And all of them have come to me with stories like that they've witnessed in the schools. And we've done a lot of reading of books and theory and stuff in our district, but we haven't actually heard from the students directly. And so we were starting conversations about what that might look like to kind of bring those stories to the forefront to make the work more meaningful and immediate for the teachers. So thank you. And thank you for offering that story, because that took courage. So if you have surveys or questions that we could use as a starting point, that would be really great.
If there are some, if you're interested in some tools that you can use to gauge where you are as a district, I would be happy to share those with you. You can either send me a direct message on Twitter or just email me, and I'll have my information available afterwards. Any other questions? I want to just say this to you as you go. Can you go to the this one? You were a trailblazer. Thank you guys for being risk takers today. You don't know me. We haven't met before. You've danced with me. You've battled for pancakes and wore crowns. You've moved your seat, for goodness sake. I mean, those are high-risk activities that you can only do when you become a community of learners. So I want to just thank you for being committed to the work. This, I'm just going to tell you a little parable in our last 2 to 3 minutes. But this guy that you see on the screen is a trailblazer. He's running so far out in front of the pack. He's a UDL trailblazer. He's going where no one really wants to go. He's talking about things that people would rather just be quiet about. He's running fast. He's ahead of the pack because he is making sure that there is a trail there for those who follow after him. I'm asking you to be that trailblazer. And if you are, can you go to the next slide? You will have confidence in yourself as an educator. You'll be guided by clear vision and personal mission. You'll know your why. You won't mind the novelty. If it's strange to others, that's okay. You'll take it. You'll love the adventure and the risk. You'll have an opportunity to learn about other trailblazers, but you'll serve as guidance for others. You'll lead the mission. You need to be recognized, praised, and honored, and today I honor you. So on your road, on your journey, there are a few innovators who are following right behind you. You may not even know they exist. You're so far ahead of the pack, people think you're crazy, but guess what? There are people watching you, running after you, looking at how you use techniques, how you work with students, how you build relationships with others, and they're following in your path. Do you know that you're a trailblazer? Do you know that you're inspiring innovators? And then on that road, we have people who are satisfied right where they are. You don't know if he can run for real or if he's just dressed up for the road. In your buildings, in this work, in what you do, you're going to have people who are happy just where they are. It's your job to uncover whether he's a real runner or an imposter. You're a trailblazer. You make the path for others. There are people following after you. Some who are following you may be content right there, but you push them to run whether they want to or not. Next, I want to warn you that on this journey of changing schools for children, you have some people who may be dressed for the occasion, but who fully intend to sit on the sideline. You must address the stay put crew. If you're dressed for running, then you're in my building and you're in my district, you're going to run. I am a trailblazer, and I'm going to make sure that every chance I get, I disrupt your sitting on the sideline and tell you you have to do something differently for kids. I'm going to support you. I'm going to push you. I will get on your nerves. I will be the topic of your conversation in every meeting after the meeting because I will not just let you sit on the side. Staying put is not good enough for me because I'm a trailblazer. I'm asking you to be a trailblazer too. Now, the Stay Put crew is not opposed to change for other people. However, they're not bad people, but they can be recruited by people who want to sabotage the efforts. They're not prone to resist change actively, but they can change the rate that change is incorporated. Do you know them? They sit on the sidelines and pull others to come off the road to talk with them. The last person I want you to look for is the saboteur. Equity work is big work. It's different work. It's more than a conversation. There are people who are on the sidelines with their TNT ready to derail every initiative, every change, every co-teaching effort that you put in place. They are there to derail. However, the saboteur is only as good as the trailblazer allows them to be. Acknowledge them head on. Don't hide, don't run, don't let them work. Their dynamite is only for noise. It cannot destroy the work that you put in place because you're a trailblazer. You change things. One more. One more. So, when you think about equity and you think about work, the Stay Put crew is where they are until you move them. Saboteurs and satisfied sometimes wear the same costume until you move them. The UDL innovators can only go as fast and as far as the trailblazer clears the path for them to go. Will you be the trailblazer? Will you run fast and far? Will you try as hard as you can? Will you make a difference? You absolutely will. Thank you.